What's up, family? This is Katie with Urban Finance, and today I'm going to be doing a book review of 50 Cent's book, aka Mr. Shade, because no one throws more shade than 50. Let me know in the comment section below if you think someone throws more shade than 50, aka Mr. Troll, because 50 Cent is definitely one of the biggest trolls that I know, in a good way. Kinda. But he recently came out with an amazing book called Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter, and I'm going to be doing a review of that today. And there's a lot of juicy stuff, but it's really good. And to be honest, as someone who grew up in Queens, New York, I've always had a ton of love for 50 Cent. So by far, he was one of my favorite rappers in high school. So that's one of the reasons that I picked up his book. But I was pleasantly surprised by how good it is. If you're someone that's familiar with my channel, you will know that about a quarter of the content that I produce are book reviews, and book reviews by some of the most well-renowned authors of any category. And when it comes to the personal development category, I think 50 Cent book actually comes among the best of them. And so definitely pick up a copy if you haven't already. But let's jump into this. He talks about personal success tips. He talks about things in regards to his team, G Unit, and why some of them didn't blow up, like Tony Yayo and Lloyd Banks, and what you can do to make sure you become a mogul in whatever industry that you decide to go in or that you are in. And so while a lot of people may think that this is a book that is just for rappers, it's actually a book that's more inclined for someone that's trying to be successful as an entrepreneur or in corporate America, which as someone who kind of wants to be successful as an entrepreneur, this book was super helpful. So let's jump into it right now. The first chapter, he talks about finding fearlessness. And there's two main takeaways that I had from this chapter. The first takeaway here is that one of the keys to success is his ability to be fearless in the midst of almost every situation. And one of the reasons that he's been so fearless is because of the things he's overcome. For example, getting shot 9 times, and he will think that is the greatest thing that he overcome. But he actually talks about his mom, how his mom dying and overcoming that situation was the thing that led him to be as fearless as he was, and how overcoming your fears could lead to success. And one of the examples he gave was going into a boardroom. He knew another rapper who was amazing at what he did, but he was a bit of a shy guy. And no, I'm not talking about Tony Yayo or Lloyd Banks yet. That will come a little later in this review. But he was a bit of a shy guy. But 50 took him into the interview with a bunch of corporate people because he knew that this guy was the expert on the material that he wanted to present. But the guy never really spoke up about it. So 50 was kind of left leading the conversation, which, you know, he's someone that considers himself to be fearless, so he didn't really care that he have to, but he thought about it, how unfortunate it is for people who's even smarter than him because they can't bring themselves to do something that is outside of their comfort zone. For example, being a guy from the streets, pitching something to corporate folks, that it would lead them to not becoming as successful as they can be. And this is really sad because if we think about it in the context of Black America, and the book is for anyone, I don't think it's just for people that, you know, are Black, but it's for pretty much anyone. But it's definitely a book that's focused on if you're an underdog and you're trying to overcome that, I think you will find it extremely helpful. But for example, in Black America, one of the things that Black people are said not to be good at is promoting themselves. No matter if they have the best product in the world or the smartest Black person in the world, they really do not promote themselves the way that other groups promote themselves. And in this chapter, he talks about if you're not someone that raise your hands, then you're not someone that's going to be successful, no matter how smart, no matter how intelligent you are. And this is not to say every opportunity you get to say something, you say something, because, you know, that can get annoying quickly. But if you're someone with something to contribute, make sure you're making that contribution, because unless you're doing that, you're not going to be successful. So I think that was one of the jewels that I got from the first chapter of the book, and one of the jewels that I think that can help a lot of underdogs that just don't raise their hands, are too scared to put themselves out there for that opportunity. The second chapter is the heart of a hustler, and there's two main principles that I took out of that. One is the hustle hard principle, and I'll talk about that. And the other is the passion stance, which I'll also talk about. And so first, for the hustle hard principle, he had this quote, and I'm just going to read it from here. If you're not hustling your absolute hardest, you're never going to be successful. And I know a lot of times that, and again, you know, I'm speaking from my perspective and what I know the best. But in the African American communities, we tend to make excuses. And that's because we have a lot of excuses, because you're usually starting from further back. You usually have more obstacles to overcome. The system is against you. If you're someone that chooses to use excuses for why you aren't successful, you will never become successful. And so I'm not saying that you don't have obstacles, but if you choose to let those obstacles stop you from becoming successful, that is your choice. And you can always work harder than the next person. And so this is one of the things that 50 talked about. He's not the best lyricist. He's not one of the best rappers out there. He ain't the prettiest guy out there. But it is what it is. Because the one thing you can control is that no one is gonna put in more work than I. And, in one of the later chapters, he talked about, how he thought that sleep was for the broke, but, kind of learning from other people, he learned that, sleep is actually important, but he's still not someone that sleeps a lot. It's something that he's working on. And if you're still young, then you have the opportunity to grind for what you want in life. And so if you aren't able to achieve that, yes, I'm not denying any obstacles that are in front of you, but that's on you. And I put that on myself. If I'm not able to obtain the goals that I set for myself, that's on me. And that's the attitude of someone that desires and will be successful in life. So the other thing 50 talked about is someone with a weak passion stance and someone with a strong passion stance. Someone with a weak passion stance, so that they're not very passionate for whatever that thing is that they're trying to do. When obstacles come their way, they're more likely to just fade away and give up. But someone with a strong passion stance will dig in. And no matter what obstacle comes their way, they will always keep grinding to achieve their goals. 50 was talking about, and I really love this portion of the book. There are a lot of stories that he gave within the book that I found to be very helpful. You're going to have to go read those yourself. But one story that really motivated me was when he talked about looking out his window and he saw someone selling peanuts. And he was saying that if I tomorrow lose everything that I have, I'm not going to jump out the window like some people that come from privilege, only knew privilege, and wouldn't know what to do if they have to start over from the bottom again. But what I would do, or what 50 would do, he was saying, was that he would go start a peanut stand. And in order to differentiate himself from the competition, he may sell chocolate nuts or add some other spices that he think people would like. And then from that peanut stand, and let's say on 42nd Street, he might try to move up to a peanut stand in Yankee Stadium. And then from there, maybe even opening his own restaurant. And the point of that is, no matter how far down you felt, you can always come back if you have the heart of a hustler. And so hopefully that encourages someone, because especially right now as we go through this COVID-19 seasons, people are hitting their rock bottom and going below even what they thought their rock bottom would be. But if you have a heart of a hustler, there is nothing that can keep you down. Just keep grinding, and trust me, success will come your way. This is my last point from 50 in this video, and this point has to deal with building your crew. So in this chapter, he talks about his relationship with Lloyd Banks and Tony Yayo and why they didn't blow up as much as they could. And part of it is because, one, they weren't adaptable, and two, they didn't desire to change. For example, he was saying that Lloyd Banks is one of the best punchline rappers of his day, but he would not change. For example, 50 was telling him that, you should start an Instagram page and, just post some pictures of yourself. You can even be clever like you are in the written portion and build a following that way. And Lloyd Banks was pretty much like, oh, do you think Pac or Biggie would do that? And he was like, I can't invest in someone who is not willing to invest in themselves, or I can't invest in someone that is going to keep doing the same thing, because that person is going to become the type of person that is talking about, oh, rappers today are trash, even though that they are the people that are making money. The thing about 50 that I like, he has the mentality of adapt or die. A lot of people, they can never get out of that culture of what they came from. That's all they know. That's all they want to know. If society is moving on, they stay there critiquing what's new. So, oh, I can't believe those young boys are wearing skinny jeans. I remember when that was a thing, that people hated anyone that wears skinny jeans. Now everyone started to wear skinny jeans. And so if you're the person that is critiquing the direction that culture is heading in, whether that's social media, whether that's YouTube, whether that's whatever it is, then you're the person that is usually going to end up broke. And so that's what he saw in Lloyd Banks, and that's why he had to kind of stop investing in him. Similar to Lloyd Banks, Tony Yayo was someone that 50 wanted to make the next 50. But Tony Yayo couldn't really break out of the hood culture. Like 50 was trying to get him out of that particular mindset in order for him to achieve more, but he wasn't able to grow as an individual. And I'm not talking negatively about Tony Yayo or anything like that, but if you aren't able to grow, or if you don't allow yourself to grow, it's a waste of time for people to pour into you or try to invest into you. And so one of the things that 50 talked about is knowing when you have to let go of people that's been with you from the start, and knowing when to make friends with new people. And some people that's been with you, you want to keep them around because they keep you grounded, but don't waste yourself in people that do not want to grow. So I really like this section so much that I'm actually going to read a portion of it for you, because I thought it was so helpful for me to even see, because I'm someone who loves putting people on, but you can only do that to a point and to how much someone is willing to grow and change. And so here, and this section is called Refusing to Evolve. He said, if the success of power was one of my most greatest accomplishments, then one of my biggest disappointment is the unfulfilled potential of Lloyd Banks and Tony Yayo of G-Unit. Both Power's rise and G-Unit fall are testament to how growth is often the key element in any successful journey. I always felt if I had maybe done a better job teaching Banks and Yayo how to evolve and change their habits, they each would be in a better place right now. Instead, they both stayed stuck in their mindsets, and as a result, the success they desired has eluded them. In Banks' case, a lot of his failure to grow as an artist is connected to his emotional composition. Banks grew up in the same neighborhood as me, but was never a part of the same way. And so, I'm skipping ahead in the chapters over where 50 talks about different compositions that makes a successful artist, but he pretty much said Banks only had one of those. And so he was telling Banks, this was a strategy that 50 was saying, Banks, if you do this, you can be successful. To me, one answer was to change how he interacted with the culture. That's why years ago I told Banks to film a video of his life and post it on YouTube. Introduce people to his life. Let the camera follow him around for a while and see how he moves. Maybe something he says or does will create a spark and go viral. And then he'll have some heat around him again. What I did not want him to do was sit there writing punchline after punchline and then grow resentful when no one seemed to care about his mixtapes anymore. They say insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. If that's so, Bank temperament was definitely a little crazy. I'm not saying anything that I haven't said to Banks directly. Another time I sat down and told him just when IG was popping off and tried to drop this gem on him. You gotta get an Instagram. I encourage him. So if you refuse to evolve with where culture is growing, you're gonna die, no matter what your industry is. So whether that is religion, preaching, yes, I'm talking to y'all too, or rapping, yes, I'm talking to y'all, or you choose to be an entrepreneur or social media influencer, no matter what your industry is, if you don't adapt, you will die. And, you know, we all know about Blockbuster. Blockbuster was the spot to go to get your DVDs, but they did not adapt and they die. And a lot of other companies will be like that. A lot of other industries will be like that. As someone who considers themselves really frugal, I really like when 50 talked about buying Mike Tyson mansion and how he bought that because of what he considered a homeboy complex, that he wanted to bring the whole hood with him when he made it. And he spent, let me actually Google this, $4.1 million on Mike Tyson mansion. And it's not that he didn't have the money, but even worse than paying the $4 million on a mansion, he was paying $70,000 a month to keep the house. He made a joke in the book about if Bill Gates owned this house, he'll probably be like, do we really need to run the AC overnight? And now he has a more modest house. He talks about having a apartment in New York City, not too far from where he works. But a lot of rappers and a lot of celebrities and basketball players, they get a little bit of money and then they blow the money. And it's only until years after they realize that they really wasted a lot of their wealth. That's why I really like some of the newer rappers that came around that didn't fall into the trap, like J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar. And maybe they were able to read books from other rappers or just saw the culture that it's no point in buying a $4, $5, $6 million mansion, spending $100,000 a month for upkeep, because that type of money is probably not going to last a lifetime. And if you want that type of money to last a lifetime, that's not the type of things that you need to spend your money on. In the Constructing the Crew chapter, he talks about picking the right people to surround yourself. And that includes the people with the right energy. One of the things he talked about that I really like, he said, billionaires don't lose a lot of their money from competitors. They lose a lot of their money from picking the wrong spouse. And he talks about Jeff Bezos of Amazon, who lost about $38 billion in his divorce settlement. And so picking the right people to be around you is crucial. If you know me, I will help any and everyone, but I won't hang out with any and everyone, because I need the right people to be in my circle. I need the right people to be around me. I need the right type of energy. And this is not people that disagree with me, but this is people that understand where they want to go. Like, I have no desire to be friends with people that just sit around all day gossiping. And if you're that type of person, then that's probably why I don't click with you a lot. It is what it is. All right, family, thank you for watching. Like I said, this is a review of 50 Cent's new book, Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter. I was thoroughly pleased by this book, so much so that I decided to break it into 2 different videos. I will probably be watching these videos over and over again. I really wanted to remember all the important information in this video, so that's why I decided to break it into 2 videos. And since I thought that would be helpful for me, I thought it would be helpful for you as well in order to detail all the information that kind of came in the book, or all the things that I thought that really stuck out to me and that left me feeling motivated, inspired to hustle harder, hustle smarter. All right, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Also, check out this playlist of Black authors, Black reviews that I've done. Most of the reviews are animated reviews, so if you like that, definitely check it out. A few of them are not animated reviews like this one, but like I always say, love you, and remember to live your best life.